Chapter 3. Will waits at the top of the stairs, listening. A quiet murmur drifts from the kitchen. The hallway is silent except for the slow and steady tick of the clock. Like the morning before, Mike's bed was empty when Will woke up. And like the morning before, Will quietly carries his bedding down to the basement, careful not to make a sound. Mike's parents don't come to the basement often, but he doesn't want to risk it. The thought of Mr. Wheeler wandering down here in search of new batteries or candles only to find Will's mattress stripped of pillow and blanket sends a shiver down his spine. He doesn't want him asking questions about where Will is spending the night. In the kitchen, the Wheelers sit around the table, face pale from another cold night. Will glances at Mike, who surprisingly holds his gaze. He doesn't smile, but at least he acknowledges him. That's progress. Morning, Will says, sliding into the chair beside Jonathan. You're up unusually late, Mrs. Wheeler says, smiling. Yeah, Will reaches for the butter, spreading it carefully over the toast. It's true, he's usually one of the first people up in this house, but something about sleeping in Mike's room seems to knock him out every night. He glances at Mike, who's already looking at him. Both boys avert their eyes quickly. Is the basement very cold? Ollie asks curiously. Can you see your breath? Will looks up, and maybe he hesitates a second too long, because suddenly every face at the table turns toward him. Ollie, Mrs. Wheeler, Jonathan, Nancy, and Mike. Even Mr. Wheeler, who for the first time since Will's known him, isn't sitting behind a newspaper, follows the conversation, one eyebrow raised, waiting for a reply. Is he already suspecting something? Yeah, Will feels heat rushing into his face. It's cold, but it's not too bad, and the blankets help. I'm sleeping pretty good. He doesn't know why he's lying. It's not like he and Mike did anything wrong, but Ted Wheeler said it only a couple of days ago, and now the words echo through Will's head. Grown boys shouldn't sleep in the same room. He said it like it's something dirty, like Will is scamming something, or like whatever's wrong with Will might rub off on Mike if they spend too many nights behind closed door. And even if it's just the implication, Will has been hiding this part of himself all his life. It's like second nature, an old habit, a familiar voice that says, don't do anything weird, don't act suspicious. And in the end, Mr. Wheeler does have the power to throw him out. It's his house. He literally owns it. Well, you'll tell me if you need anything, right? Mrs. Wheeler presses, glancing at Jonathan too. I promised Joyce you two would be warm and taken care of, and I don't like the idea of you freezing in the basement. No, really, it's not that cold. It's fine, really, Jonathan says, because he too has been lying about where he sleeps for over a year. When Will looks up again, he sees a frown carved between Mike's brows. He raises his own brows in question, but Mike looks away. Mrs. Wheeler looks at Mike and sighs. You have offered Will your room, right, Mike? There's a silence, a bit too long. Will watches as Mike's frown deepens. He's about to reply when Mr. Wheeler clears his throat and mutters, Jesus, they're boys, not babies. It's not like they're sleeping in the garage. Yeah, Will says too quickly. Yeah, and we are grateful. It's really more than enough. And then, because Mr. Wheeler's stare makes him nervous, like he can see right through him, he adds, I like sleeping in the basement. It feels like our room now, so I wouldn't want it any other way. I like my room too, Holly says helpfully. It draws the attention away from Will, and he can feel the air going back into his lungs. All through breakfast, he tries to meet Mike's eyes, but Mike keeps his head down, pushing food across his plate. The frown between his brows never leaves. After breakfast, Jonathan and Will get ready to visit Hopper's cabin and meet up with their mom and Hal. Will is just halfway down the basement stairs to grab clean clothes from his drawer when Mike slips through the door. Why did you lie? What? Will turns round. Mike stands at the top of the stairs, hood up, curls sticking out. Why did you lie? The tone in Mike's voice is unfamiliar. Not angry, but close. His brows furrowed, his mouth a sharp line, like Will hurt him personally. Will's stomach tightens. The air between them suddenly colder. What are you talking about, Mike? He steps to the drawer and grabs a fresh sweater. He hears Mike's footsteps behind him. You lied to everybody about where you slept last night, and you didn't even blink, saying all that about how you prefer sleeping down here. I don't understand why you do that. Okay, sure, Will lied, but he has his reasons, and maybe he would explain it to Mike, but there's something about the way Mike just came down here and confronted him that makes him forget all reason. Why does he even care? What's it to him? So, Mike repeats, I don't understand why you deliberately let my mom worry about you freezing down here. The words seem to bubble up inside him. And I don't know, I just think it's weird how easily you lie, when you were always the one who said lying was wrong and that you'd never lied to anyone. What is this even about? Jonathan has been lying to Mike's parents about this exact thing for over a year. Mike lies to his parents all the time. Mike lied to him plenty of times about how they'd be best friends again, how they'd work as a team, how sorry he was for treating him like shit. I didn't lie to you, Mike. You are acting like I personally offended you. Something shifts in Mike's face. A dimming in his eyes, a twitch at the corner of his mouth. The softness from last night has vanished, and suddenly Will can't imagine it even being there. I guess I just didn't realize how much you've changed. Will's stomach drops. Out of all people in the world, how can Mike talk about changing? So have you, Mike. Well, there's something absolute in his tone. Then I guess we don't know each other anymore. Guess not. They stare at each other, and Will has imagined this moment 1,000 times, back when he thought they'd talk things out. Conversations about all the ways they've changed and all the things that happened, but it was never like this, never this cold. He abandons his plan to change clothes and just throws on another sweater. I gotta go, he says. So, unless you've got something to say that it isn't an accusation, move. Mike doesn't hesitate before stepping aside, face unreadable, and Will doesn't hesitate to push past him. He runs up the stairs and meets Jonathan in the hallway. Can we go now? On the bike ride, Will is quiet. His heart is beating fast in a mixture of anger and confusion. They were fine last night. They might have even made some progress. How did things escalate so quickly? He would have explained to Mike why he lied if he just asked him normally. Wanna talk about it? Jonathan calls, biking beside him, passing leafless trees. No, Will doesn't even want to think about it. As soon as they arrive at the cabin, he manages to distract himself, mostly. His mother is all over him, hugging him like they haven't spoken in months. With the fireplace lit, the cabin is cozy, like a real home. Growing up, the Byler's house was always messy, organized in a way nobody really understood. Now that his mother is living with Hopper, their two messes have combined, and nothing seems to have a logical place anymore. But it's comforting, a stark contrast to the conventional cleanness of the Wheeler's house that makes Will overly aware of leaving a single crumb on the counter. We were thinking, Hal says now, holding Will's hand, as they sit around the coffee table. There's a frozen cake on the table that must have started thawing the moment the power went out. It looks a little soggy. About the power outage, it's weird that they don't give us any information, right? Elle pulls a binder from the ground next to the couch, a perfectly normal place to put it, and opens it. It's filled with several handwritten papers, doodles, and photos of people Will doesn't recognize. Will's mom, who sits on his other side, reaches out to grab one of the pages. We don't know for sure, of course, but we wanted to do something just to be on the safe side. What's this? Jonathan asks, grabbing another page. Will watches as he traces the lines of something that looks like a mind map. the middle word being power outage. We were thinking it might have to do with the gates. Maybe something's escaped in the tunnels that messes with the power lines, their mother explains. Would explain why nobody's giving any answers, Hopper adds. Escaped, Will repeats, his heart rate picking up. The last 2 days, this is what he's been afraid of, an irrational fear, one that he tried not to entertain, the lurking underneath, sniffing him out, finding him in the cold. It's enough to make him forget about his argument with Mike. We don't know that, Jonathan says, noticing Will's shift immediately. The military is monitoring the gates. Nothing gets out without somebody noticing, especially not without causing a mass panic. Let's not jump to conclusions. Yeah, sure, it could just be busted lines or some circuit breaker overheated, Hopper says. We just want to be sure. Joyce touches Will's arm and he hates the look she's giving him. Whatever it is, Will says, digging his nails into his palms and trying to keep his voice calm, what's the plan here? Do you want to go and check the lines or the gates or... Already on it, Hal hands him the photos. It's a bunch of men that Will has never seen before. Mom cut these out from the newspaper. It's all the important guys' faces that might know something about the outage. I'm spying on them. And how's that going? No luck yet. After another couple of sentences, a silence settles around the table. Will gets this feeling deep in his stomach that if it weren't for him, everyone would be sharing their theories by now. But instead, they hold back. He hates this, the tiptoeing around him. It's really just to be sure, Joyce says again. Who wants more cake? Later, Will watches Hal, their mom, and Hopper fake argue in the kitchen. The way they move around the cabin looks natural, like they've found their place here and adjust into their own little family. I'm jealous too, Jonathan sighs, slumping down next to him. It's creepy, when you read people's mind like that. Jonathan laughs. I can only do that with you. Will smiles and looks back at the tree. I'm kinda sick of living in the Wheeler's house. Jonathan nudges him softly. I'm sure you and Mike can work it out. Will roll his eyes. Get off of my head, please. Sorry. When the sun sets and they remember the streetlights aren't working, Joyce makes them hurry to get going. On the way back, Will makes a decision. He's not going back to Mike's room tonight. Honestly, he'd rather freeze to death. This time, Will prepares himself for the cold. He heats some water on the camping stove and pours it into his mug, dropping a tea bag into the steam. Downstairs, he lights a few candles around the table, hoping their little flames will increase the room temperature. 48 hours without power leave the air heavy, the kind of cold that slips under your clothes and lingers there, gnawing at your skin until you feel it in your bones. Will's breath fogs the air in the dim light. He wraps himself in 2 blankets, shivering as he curls cross-legged at the desk, sipping tea that's cooling way too fast for his liking, the steam caught in the candlelight. In front of him lays his open sketchbook, a sad attempt at a distraction, both from his argument with Mike, but more importantly, from what Hal and their mother had said earlier. If they think something's escaped the gates, then how irrational is it, really, to think something's out to get him? And even though Will doesn't want to admit it right now, spending these past 2 nights with Mike helped, because now that he's alone in the cold, dark room, the fear is right back. It's stupid. He doesn't want to depend on Mike. He doesn't want anything from him. He grips the mug in one hand for warmth and sketches whatever comes to mind. Right now, he's working on a house. Every few lines, he pauses to rub his palms over his fingers. The pencil feels stiff in his grip. He sketches shapes at first, lines, then details, the shape of the floor, window frames, the roof. When he was 13, Will stopped painting for a couple of months. It was just before the snow dance, when he found a stack of drawings in the living room. He'd asked his mom about it, and she told him about the way he frantically sketched all those veins and branches, creating a map of Hawkins that he should have no knowledge of. He sighs, rips out the page, and starts again. It's a violating feeling to know somebody's taking control of your body. It's something Will doesn't ever want to feel again. He's about to press the pencil back against the paper when he hears a quiet thump. It's soft enough that he can't really tell where it came from. Maybe a crack on the floorboard upstairs, or the wood of the furniture. Will stares at the darkness of the stairs, or the door. It could be Jonathan, maybe, hopefully wanting to keep him company. There's another sound, and this time he's sure it's a knock. Come in, Will calls, voice tight and jaw stiff from trying not to let his teeth chatter. The door creaks, and then there's the sound of feet on the stairs. It's dark, so Will only sees him when he steps close, wrapped in a thick sweater, arms hugging himself. Holy shit, Mike mutters, stopping in the middle of the room. Will stares at him, gripping his pencil. The words they've said to each other just hours ago come back to him in a flash. I guess I just didn't realize how much you've changed. It's freezing down here, Mike says. It's like we're outside. He rocks on his heels, pulling his sleeves over his hands. He looks like he wants to say more, but stops himself. Instead, he crosses the room, looking around like he's never been down here before. Then I guess we don't know each other anymore. Will watches him, waiting for an explanation as to why he's here. It never comes. Are you drawing? Mike asks. What are you doing here? Will's voice comes out rougher than he'd planned. Mike shrugs, eyes flickering towards the sketchbook. I thought you'd come up to my room again. He comes closer, leaning over the table. That's pretty good, he says, pointing at the sketch. Will rolls his eyes. You don't even know what you're looking at. Sure I do. It's a house. Will stops himself. He showed himself vulnerable in front of Mike last night, and in that moment it felt right. Mike helped him through it. He was there for him. But after today, Will isn't sure why they're even trying. And why it's suddenly okay to talk again, now that it's dark outside. Mike seems to notice his hesitance. He grabs a chair and slowly sits down at the table, facing Will. He pulls his legs up to his chest, awkwardly because of how long they are, and wraps one arm around them, shivering slightly. It's what? He urges. Will stares at the page. Why are you here? I'm just asking. Sorry, you don't have to tell me. No, Will mutters. You're acting like earlier didn't even happen. Mike sits a little straighter and chews on his lip. Yeah, I might have overreacted. Sorry. Will stares at him, confused. That's it? So what are you drawing? Why do you care? What? The obliviousness on Mike's face makes something snap in Will. We're not exactly speaking, Mike. Will has started sketching random shapes into the notebook, zigzag lines and endless circles. I mean, we haven't really spoken in months, and apparently we don't know each other anymore, so I don't understand why you're here. The words shut Mike up. Will wants to look at him to see his expression, but he forces himself not to, keeping his eyes on the page. Yeah, Mike says after a while, voice hoarse. You're right, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry I snapped at you. I guess after last night, what you told me, I figured you didn't want to be alone tonight. Will slowly shakes his head. It's not really the answer he wants, but that's because he didn't ask the right question. The question isn't, why are you here? It's, where have you been this past year? I don't need company, Will says in a dry voice, focusing back on his sketches. His pencil moves aimlessly, sketching meaningless shapes, hard to control against the tremor in his hand. He's sick of being the bitter friend, the one who's disappointed, always waiting for Mike to reach out. In fact, it was easier when Mike was just avoiding him altogether. Sorry, Mike says again. It's very quiet. For a moment, Will isn't sure what Mike's apologizing for. Coming down here or not coming down here in so long? Their argument or something else? He finally looks up to see Mike looking at the sketchbook. His shoulders are slumped down. He looks almost defeated. It makes Will's chest hurt. He wants to take it all back, but he knows he shouldn't. Silence stretches between them. Finally, Will crumbles, unable to bear it a second longer. He leans back, exhaling deeply. I've been trying to sketch just random things, but it's been hard. Mike's dark eyes flicker from the notebook to Will's face, his miserable expression faltering, replaced by curiosity. Why? Will's throat tightens. It's stupid, he says, eyes fixed on the page. Remember when I almost stopped drawing for months when we were 13? For the longest time, I felt like it's not me who's controlling the pen, and now with the cold, I just... He trails off, gesturing vaguely, not sure if he makes sense at all. But from the corner of his vision, he can see Mike nod slowly, like when you painted the tunnels. You didn't know what you were painting until it was already there. Will chews on his hinder cheek. Yeah, here, look. He flips through the pages on the sketchbook, showing Mike all the things he's drawn in the past hour. I know technically these are just random things my mind came up with, but it's like, what if this isn't just a random street lamp that I sketched from my memory, but instead him trying to show me a place to go or something? Mike studies the pages. That's the street lamp outside my house, he says, pointing. And that's my mom's mug. It has the same stupid flowers on it. And this, I believe this is Holly's ugly hairbrush. Yeah, okay, I get it. Will laughed, pulling the sketchbook from Mike's grip and meeting his smile that's a little too cautious to be teasing. But the laugh gets stuck in his throat when he realizes it's the first time they've laughed together in months. Mike's eyes move over his face. These are just sketches of things in the house, things you know. Yeah, but... He huffs, his hands too stiff to properly gesture. What is it that made me choose to paint these specific things? It took control over my body once, and all our thoughts were intertwined, and it's like I just don't know how to be sure, you know? Mike leans back in the chair. There's an obvious tremble in his lower lip, and he slipped both of his hands inside his sleeves. I could tell you what to draw. What? That way you know it's not your or his brain coming up with it. Will narrows his eyes, but he likes the way Mike is looking at him now, a sheepish face, one that he knows so well. In this dim light, he almost looks like he did 4 years ago, when they were half as tall and twice as close. All the resentment he's felt earlier vanishes into the cold air. What should I draw then? Will asks, raising his eyebrow and rubbing his hands to loosen the stiffness of his fingers. The candle? Will sighs. Yeah, I already drew that stupid candle 7 times today. He proceeds to show Mike's said sketches, each one focusing on a different detail. Some on the texture of the wax, others on the reflection in the silver candle holder. Well, the room is dark as shit, so there's not much here to draw. Exactly my point. Mike keeps looking around until his eyes stop on his own lap. He's silent for a few seconds. Then he looks up and it's like he's hesitating, but the words spill out either way. You could draw me. Will blinks. You? Yeah. I'm here. I'll sit still for you. I don't think you are capable of sitting still. Try me. Will sucks his bottom lip into his mouth, looking at mine. There was a time where he drew Mike all the time in secret sketchbooks that he hid in the bottom of the drawer. He was only 8 years old when he started memorizing the shape of Mike's eyebrows or the pattern of his curls, stealing glances throughout the day so he could bring it to paper at night. A stupid boy with no idea how dangerous these feelings could be. He wishes he'd stopped himself right then and there to have never entertained these stubborn butterflies nesting in his stomach. But it's too late now. A sad story, growing only sadder with each year that he fails to fall out of love with Mike. He realizes he's still staring at him and blinks. I don't know, he says, but he's already reaching for the pencil. Well, I love your drawings, and I have time, Mike says. He looks sincere, and Will thinks about the alternative, which is deciding where to sleep tonight. Fine, he says, and leans over the sketchbook. The thing about making a portrait is that you have to observe the object you are sketching. With the first few lines, Will is overly aware of his eyes that keep glancing at Mike. He tries to look up as little as possible, but then, As he concentrates on the curve of Mike's nose, he forgets the awkwardness and just looks. He knows this face like the back of his hand. It's the same mop of curls he always used as a reference to practice drawing hair. It's the same dark eyes that helped him learn about light's reflections. It's the same lips that he used to daydream of when he knew very well it was wrong. But it was the only thing that kept him sane during the roughest times. So, how was it with your mom and Elle? The question is harmless. Still, every word between them feels unscripted now, like they don't really know their lines, they're just improvising. It was okay, they are investigating. Investigating? They think the blackout has something to do with the gates. Elle spying on some guys to get more information. Okay, it's good to be safe, I guess. Will tries not to make it too obvious that he's staring at Mike's lips. Truth is, he's been staring at them so often in the past 10 years, he could probably draw them with his eyes closed. Now, in the candlelight, however, light works differently. The shadows are darker, deeper, the highlights sharp. He has to fully concentrate, so much that he forgets how icy his fingers are or that his teeth are slightly chattering. Over the past years, Will had to adjust the knowledge he had of Mike's face several times. With every change in Mike, he had to learn something new. Mike grew, his face became sharper, edges replacing curves. Now, looking at Mike, he finds new things that weren't there the last time he drew him. His face has grown into proportions. Brows dark and expressive, cheekbones sharp, lips full. When Will looks up again, Mike is still, his breath visible in the air. Will feels his own pulse in his throat. It's only when he notices the tremble in Mike's shoulder that he stops. "You're cold," Will states. "You too," Mike says without moving. "You should go to bed. Are you not coming upstairs with me?" But before he can reply, Mike says, "I want to see the drawing." Will hesitates, examining his own work. It's always hard finding something good in the things he's made, when his eyes are so focused on everything he could improve. But it doesn't really matter now. "Here," he says, slumps the sketchbook on the table and gets up to grab his blanket and pillow. Before he can change his mind, he's already by the stairs, looking back. Mike's bent close to the candlelight, studying the paper. He seems to be scanning the sketch thoroughly, going over every detail. He's awfully quiet. Will shifts anxiously. Is it noticeable in the curve of the lines? Is it written all over the page how much he loves this beautiful face? "Can you blow out the candles when you leave? I'm gonna go upstairs first." Mr. Wheeler snoring fills the hallway. Will sneaks upstairs and enters Mike's empty room. The candle of the nightstand is burning low. Comic books are sprawled on the unmade bed. Will lies down on the mattress that's still on the floor, pulling the blanket tight around him. He listens. A minute later, the sound of footsteps approach, the creak of the bed, the rustle of fabric. And then, "I really like the drawing," Mike says. Will watches candlelight flicker across the wall. "I didn't know how good you've become. I mean, the last painting you made for me was amazing too, but..." "Oh, the last painting." Will closes his eyes. He hates thinking about it. It sums up all his failures in one splash of paint. He remembers making these brush strokes, taking an embarrassingly long amount of time for the details, then hurrying so it would dry up before Mike would arrive at the airport. He kept imagining the face Mike would make when they would see each other again. Honestly, it's astonishing how naive he was. "The truth is," Mike says quietly, "you sound different from before, deep in thought, as if sitting still for so long gave him time to think. I never understood why you made that painting in the first place." Will stares at the wall, his chest tightening. "And I know you lied about it." Truthfully, it's not the first time he's brought it up. Back when Elle broke up with Mike, he tried to talk to Will about it. He accused him of lying about the painting, and then Will got so defensive, and that's pretty much the last real talk they've had. After that, things just got cold and distant. "I was angry for a while, you know," Mike continues, talking into the space between them. "I opened up to you, told you about my insecurities, and it's like you were playing with my feelings, telling me things you thought I wanted to hear. But it only made me feel worse. You made me believe Hell said those things to you, but she didn't. She didn't feel that way at all. It hurt me. Will realizes he's holding his breath, his stomach sinking. It isn't like Mike to open up like this. And in a way, Will always craved this kind of honesty, but now he finds himself crushed by the weight of it. And not even because of Hell. I mean, things weren't really working out anymore, and that's fine. She was lying to me in her letters for half a year, and I thought the one person I could trust not to lie to me was you. I think, or I hope, that was the first time you lied to my face, and you never explained it. I still don't understand. I guess that's why I overreacted earlier. It just looked so easy for you to lie, and it made me wonder what else you've been lying about. Will's stomach drops. The silence between Mike's sentences is deafening, and Will wishes he could feel it, but is frozen. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that I really like the sketch you made. You always make me look, I don't know, handsome. You're very kind when you draw. That's how I see you, Will wants to say. Silence fills the bedroom. The sound of Mike's breathing is stiff and short. I'm sorry, Will breathes. It's all fuzzy now in his head. The anger from earlier vanished, replaced by guilt. All he remembers from last year is that Mike was distant. Will always thought he was heartbroken because of Hell and somehow blamed it all on him. I'm not mad, Mike says. I appreciate you made me this handsome. It takes Will a few seconds to realize he's made a joke. When it clicks, he can't help but laugh, and Mike laughs too. I'm sorry about the lies, Mike, he says, hoping it's audible in his voice that he means it. Earlier, your dad gives me the chills, and I didn't want him asking questions about where I slept, so I thought it would be easier to lie. But you're right, I guess I'm not as honest as I used to be, and I'm sorry for lying about the painting. Really, I mean it. A bit of silence. But you still won't explain, Mike whispers. And it's true, Will could never explain to Mike why he said what he said in the van. So he says nothing. He hears rustling of the blanket, and he swears he can feel Mike's gaze on the back of his head, like he's still waiting for an answer. But there is none, because despite how desperately Will wants to be honest to Mike, he can't be honest about this. And in a way, it's always circling back to him, the shame of it all. These feelings have been the cause of every lie he told. The lie about the painting and the lie at breakfast this morning, and no matter how many years pass, he can't seem to be able to escape it. At some point, Mike turns around again. It takes Will a long time to fall asleep. He doesn't know what time is it. The room is dark. The candle almost burned down. Was somebody speaking? Did he dream it? What were the words? Something warm is brushing against him. Mike's knee against his shoulder. Half asleep, Will pushes against it, chasing the warmth. There's a quiet mutter. Will, wake up. You are really cold. Will can barely keep his eyes open. He was just dreaming about a cornfield, or maybe canola, something yellow. He blinks to make out Mike, kneeling on the floor beside him. What? Will asks, his mouth slow and heavy. You woke me up with all your teeth chattering. Mike's voice is hushed and close. He feels a hand on his forehead, warm and soft. They have an unspoken rule of not touching. They've had it for almost a year now, both being acutely aware to bring as much distance as possible between them. It's why Mike never wants to sit next to him on the couch during movie nights with the others. How is your hand so warm? Will mumbles, still confused as to why they are awake. I don't know. Come on, get up here. What? It's too cold on the floor. You are not warming up. We shouldn't have spent all this time in the basement. Will isn't quite catching up, but is already being dropped up by Mike's hand on his arms. Mike, no, That's not necessary. Why are you being so complicated? It's too narrow. It's a two-person bed. There's enough room. No, it's really not necessary. Will, please. His voice isn't sharp, but pleading, exhausted. Will lets himself be pulled up. The mattress dips under his weight. It's warm. Mike has slept on this side of the bed. Will sighs, immediately relaxing into it. We can swap blankets. Mine's all warm. Here. The moment he feels Mike's blanket over his shivering body, Will wants to cry. It's so warm. Mike picks up Will's pillow and blanket from the floor and slips into the other side of the bed. Pulling Mike's blanket up to his chin, Will exhales shakily. His body starts to thaw, muscles unclenching one by one. He can't express how good it feels to be warm. This is, he starts, then at the risk of sounding pathetic, he adds, really nice. Mike huffs out a tired laugh, his voice close. So, no inner voice telling you to keep your body clothed? No. Will closes his eyes and feels the sleepiness come right back to him, his eyelids growing heavy. I think I'm safe. You are safe, Mike reassures him. His voice is low and soft, and for once, Will believes him.